Have you ever tried to solve the messy, totally unpredictable problem of human love using a strict, rigid mathematical formula? Well, probably not. But welcome to this explainer on Graeme Simsion's incredible novel, The Rosie Project. It's basically the story of a brilliant mind colliding head-on with absolute chaos, and it's going to challenge everything we think we know about compatibility.
This brings us to the really fascinating question at the very heart of the story. What actually happens when you try to find a soulmate using a strict scientific formula? I mean, we use algorithms to pick out what movies we watch and what stuff we buy online, right? So why not just apply cold, hard data to find a partner? Could you literally mathematically eliminate heartbreak?
Section 1. The Perfect Wife Formula.
So meet Don Tillman. He's a brilliant genetics professor who treats his entire life as just a series of incredibly strict routines. And because ordinary, everyday social situations completely baffle the guy, he decides, you know what, I'm going to bypass traditional dating altogether. He launches what he calls the Wife Project. It's this highly detailed, super rigorous scientific questionnaire designed to just filter out all the noise and identify his statistically perfect, totally logically compatible match.
And let me tell you, his checklist is absurdly rigorous. To Don, the ideal wife isn't just, a nice person. She literally has to be punctual down to the exact minute. She's got to be highly intelligent, in peak physical health, absolutely a non-smoker, and have zero excessive drinking habits. Honestly, it reads way less like a dating profile and a lot more like a job description for a lab assistant. But hey, in Don's mind, it's just flawless logic.
Because Don demands 100% predictability, zero variables left to chance. He operates under this absolute certainty that human behavior can just be mapped out through rules, and therefore love can be flawlessly calculated.
Section 2. The Unpredictable Rogue Variable.
But, as we all know, every carefully planned, sterile scientific experiment eventually runs right into a rogue variable. And for Don, that variable comes in the form of a woman named Rosie Jarman. Rosie is basically a walking tornado of chaos. While Don demands strict punctuality and perfect order, Rosie is just wildly unpredictable. She works at a bar, she smokes, she drinks, and she honestly couldn't care less about his carefully plotted schedules. So naturally, Rosie doesn't just fail a few questions on his questionnaire, she fails spectacularly. To Don's highly analytical mind, the data is entirely conclusive. She is immediately and permanently disqualified as a potential wife. Boom. End of story. Or, well, so he thinks.
Section 3. The Father Project.
You see, Rosie isn't actually looking for a husband anyway. She's on a mission to find her biological father. And Don, being a world-class geneticist, steps up and agrees to help her out. But what starts off as this super clinical, step-by-step extraction of DNA very quickly spirals into deep undercover detective work. They end up in these highly awkward, absolutely hilarious situations, which accidentally triggers the ultimate rogue variable for Don, unintended feelings.
As their investigation gets deeper, this really profound shift starts to happen. Because unlike almost everyone else in Don's life, Rosie doesn't look at him and see a strange man who needs to be fixed. She just naturally accepts his super literal language and his logic-driven mind. She actually embraces his differences. And it's this beautiful realization for us as the audience that someone who struggles so much to understand basic social conventions is still capable of loving incredibly deeply.
Section 4. Breaking the routine.
Suddenly, Don's perfectly ordered internal programming begins to glitch. His brain is basically at an all-out war with his heart. His obsession with his strict normal routines drops way off, and his dedication to the Wife Project absolutely plummets. Instead, all of his focus spikes dramatically directly toward Rosie. He's thinking about her constantly, completely leaving his safe, predictable comfort zone in the dust.
Don has spent his entire life truly believing that compatibility can be precisely calculated. But all of a sudden, the data just does not compute. According to his system, a creature of absolute order and a creature of absolute chaos should be a total, unmitigated disaster together. Yet somehow, she might be exactly what he needs. It's amazing to watch Don's journey evolve from this rigid, almost robotic search for a spouse into a thrilling leap right into the unknown. He starts experiencing the actual rush of uncertainty, and he begins to decode the hidden, messy emotions that used to totally baffle him. He is finally learning the absolute hardest lesson of all. You simply cannot put human existence onto a spreadsheet.
Section 5. The Failed Hypothesis.
This whole chaotic, wonderful experience ultimately shatters Don's original worldview, and it brings us right back to the provocative question that launched his whole project in the first place. Can love actually be scientifically calculated? Can a complex human relationship really be reduced to a passing score on a clipboard? The answer is a massive, resounding no. Because as Don so beautifully learns, love is gloriously, wonderfully messy. It absolutely refuses to follow the rules. It really doesn't care if someone is punctual to the exact minute or matches your daily dietary habits perfectly. Real, true connection thrives in the spaces that you just can't predict.
The absolute greatest irony of the whole story is that the woman Don gives his heart to is the exact same person who failed literally every single requirement on his carefully crafted list. When you really break it down, checklists and compatibility scores account for absolutely 0% of their bond. It relies 100% on unpredictable, uncalculated, spontaneous human connection.
Which really leaves all of us to wonder about our own perfectly planned, scheduled lives, doesn't it? Who is the rogue variable that you might be accidentally filtering out? Maybe it's time to just throw away the checklist every now and then. Because as this incredible explainer of a story reminds us, sometimes the person who doesn't fit your plan becomes the most important part of your story. Thanks so much for joining me today.